Today we're going to be discussing opposites don't attract, confusing physical attraction for overall chemistry. So stick around and find out exactly what I'm talking about. That's coming right. Whoa! Coach Eli here, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, and most importantly, you are open to suggestions and change, please consider subscribing and then banging that bell. And after you bang that bell, make sure you select all notifications, because that way you won't miss a single thing when it comes to getting a better grip on your life. That's right. We're here to help you get a better grip on your life, because everybody already has somewhat of a grip on their life. And I'm just here to help you take that to the next level so you can become the absolute best version of you that you can be and accomplish whatever it is that your heart desires. But before we get to the topic, let me pay a special props once again to the sponsor of this channel, Mr. Troy Brewer, the CEO, founder, and owner of the Discover Community Network, for all of your product and service needs from the most trusted professionals in the industry. Please consider visiting www.discovercommunitynetwork.com. That's www.discovercommunitynetwork.com. You can also visit a subsidiary of the Discover Community Network called the DCN Internet Radio Network. That's Discover Community Network, Internet Radio Network. When you go to that site, you have a bunch of internet radio stations there that you can choose to listen to throughout your days. There are many genres to your liking, and there's also a bunch of talk radio stations if you're into talk radio as well. If you'd like to check that out, go to www.dcninternetradionetwork.com. That's www.dcninternetradionetwork.com. And when you go to both those sites, you can look up Troy, send him an email if you'd like to say hi to him. And if you do that, make sure you let him know that Coach Eli sent you, with lots and lots and lots and lots of love. Yes, because that's what we're all about here on my channel. We're here about lots of love, giving shout outs to great people, and doing whatever we can to make a big difference in everyone's lives out there in the most positive ways possible. All right, let's get right to it here, because I have a great show here, or a great show. I'm used to doing live streams, but this is a pre-recorded video. I have a great video here for you folks today regarding a great topic, and that topic today is opposites don't attract, confusing physical attraction for overall chemistry. Let's repeat that one more time because it is very important. Opposites don't attract, confusing physical attraction for overall chemistry. Now today, I'm going to be reading an amazing blog from the blog site medium.com. A wonderful lady by the name of Jessica Wildfire wrote a very interesting blog that just really hit home with me, and I wanted to share it with each and every one of you. It's called Date Your Complement, Not Your Opposite. One more time, date your complement, not your opposite. Before we get to that, I want to mention a few things here regarding the topic. I want to share a few personal experiences regarding the last 3 women that I've dated, and how much they valued physical attraction. Each of my last 3 girlfriends, when I first started dating them, obviously after, a few dates, when I knew we were going to continue seeing each other, and I knew that they had a high level of attraction for me, I asked them specifically to tell me out of 100%, how important is physical attraction to you on top of everything else? One more time, I asked them, how important is physical attraction to you in a relationship with the man that you're dating, to you out of 100%? And it didn't surprise me one bit to hear from all three of them to say that physical attraction is 100% important. Oh my gosh. 100% important. Remember, folks, we're in the modern world today where women are liberated. It's not like the days of, Ward and June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver. Back in those days, things were more traditional. Women were dependent on a man for everything. They were dependent on a man for survival. They looked up to a man for everything. So while, women still appreciated a man that was good looking and cute back in those days, they were more prone to settle for a man that was a little bit less attractive than what they would normally prefer if that man was able to provide for her and the future family that they would create together. It's not that way nowadays, folks. I'm telling you, it's not that way nowadays. Obviously, because women have been liberated, women are working, they're making their own money, they're buying their own homes, they're buying their own cars, they're basically doing everything that once only men were able to do and also provide for women. So that is that. Now, my personal opinion, before I get into this blog here, if you were to ask me how important is physical attraction out of 100%, how attracted do I have to be to a woman in order to date her? Well, if you asked me this question over 15 years ago, I would have said 100%. I was pretty damn picky. I wanted the hottest chick. I wanted, the cutest, hottest babe on my arms to walk around because I felt that that would bring me more value and that would make me feel better about myself. Now, I'll be honest, it was a little bit of an insecurity. And I honestly feel that, a lot of men, have felt this way in the past, regardless if they've turned it around like I have nowadays to think a little bit differently. But for the last 15 years or so, where do I value physical attraction? How much do I value physical attraction? It's not as important to me, but it still has to be there. So, for example, if I were to meet a super hot chick that, I was 100% attracted to, but didn't have a great personality and wasn't mentally and emotionally stable and sound, and I didn't bond with her at a mental and emotional level, it would not work for me. But on the flip side, let's say I found a woman that was, okay looking, average looking. Let's say I was only 50 to 75% attracted to her out of 100%. Okay. But on top of that, she had the most amazing personality. She has the most amazing personality. She's very much in touch with her emotions. She's very attracted to me. Physically, mentally, emotionally, she carries on a great conversation. She has a complete package. In that situation, I would definitely date and consider even, possibly marrying a woman that I'm only 50 to 75% attracted to instead of 100%. Now, if there's less than 50% attraction, I think it's safe to say for all men and women that it just wouldn't work out regardless. Now, with that being said, let's get over to this blog because it is very, very interesting. Oh, yeah. Well, one more thing I want to mention here. Here's what happens, a lot during today's modern world, especially with the millennial generation and beyond, the millennial and the post-millennial generation, the I generation, Gen Z. So Gen Y is millennial, Gen Z is post-millennial, I generation. A lot of times, they base, getting to know each other 100% on physical attraction. And then they start to date each other. Maybe the sex is good. And they start to realize that they don't have a lot in common. There's no emotional bond. There's no mentally stimulating conversation. And then, they wonder why, things don't work out. Well, because both of you were going into it purely to, gratify your sexual needs. And you weren't thinking about the other aspects that are involved in making an overall connection. Sex, intimacy, lovemaking, however you want to call it, is only one aspect. You need to have all four aspects, in my opinion, to have the complete bond and the overall connection with someone. You need to have the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. All four of those need to be there. And let me tell you, I've had all four of those in the past in my relationships, and that's when it works the best. Additionally, you have to have common interests and common goals, which we're going to discuss when we get to this blog here. So let's just get to that. Let's go ahead and switch over to the browser screen. And let's get right to this here. The blog from the medium.com website is titled, once again, Date Your Complement, Not Your Opposite. One more time, date your complement, not your opposite. And the blog was written by Jessica Wildfire on January 28th, 2019, so about a year and a half ago. It's still very relevant, and as we get further into it, it's going to make a lot of sense. So let's just get right to it here. All right. So Jessica says, opposites attract, but they don't make the best partners. Oh, I agree. In my opinion, Jessica, I'll start off right out of the gate and say the same thing I just said a few minutes ago. Opposites attract based on 100% physical attraction. If the physical attraction is there between the man and the woman, that's going to allow both the man and the woman to, want to talk to each other, and it's going to give them the curiosity to get to know each other. But they know nothing about each other besides what they see in front of them physically, right? So I agree. So again, she says, opposites attract, but they don't make the best partners. Not always. That's true. Sometimes it can work, but most of the time it really doesn't work. One of the very last guys I dated can prove it. Okay, let's get right to it, Jessica, and see what happened. For starters, he was an extrovert to my introvert. Now, that is something I've talked about before in some of my videos and live streams. It doesn't mean that an extroverted male can't get along with an introverted female, but he has to be able to kind of balance himself out. Like for me, I do consider myself to be an extrovert. But I consider myself to be 70 to 80% extroverted and 20 to 30% introverted. I understand what it entails to be an introvert. And I can honestly say probably when I was much, much younger, I would have probably considered myself more introverted instead of extroverted. Even though I was pretty outgoing most of my life, I was more of a shyer guy in my younger days. And that's where I picked up and learned, how introverts are. So yeah, in many cases, if you're an extreme introvert and you're dating an extreme extrovert, it's typically not going to work. And therefore, exhausting to be around. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I can be very exhausting to be around. So I need a woman that's going to be able to keep up with me, that loves my energy, that can provide her own energy, and together we just have this spontaneous combustion that just feels incredibly amazing. He didn't want to go on dates so much as little adventures in the city. Okay, so basically he wanted her to be like her toy, like someone to put his arm around and walk in public with, just to make it appear like he's more valuable of a man than he is. Yeah, you might be able to get away with doing that for a little while as a guy, but women are going to pick up on that after a while. Every night out had to be Instagrammable. Oh my gosh, and I used to be like that. I remember, with my exes in the past, I used to always like to check in on Facebook wherever we would go. So instead of just, letting the date flow, I would say, hey, babe, let's take a picture quickly outside of the restaurant here and a couple pictures in the restaurant. And then I would take the pictures, right? The server would come and we would order our food. And then I would be like, hey, babe, let me upload this to Facebook and let me write a little description of where we're at and tag ourselves in. And, for a little while, the women I dated in the past were cool with that. But you could kind of tell after it started happening everywhere that we would go, it got old very, very quick. So during the middle of my last relationship, I stopped checking in. And I did one thing further. I locked down my Facebook because I started getting trolled and harassed out here on YouTube and other social media platforms when I started running my coaching business. So I just don't do that anymore. So I get it. She's not happy here because she feels like, he's only with her because he wants to show her off and build his value and not just enjoy spending time with her and getting to know her. Not a good thing. We could never just grab coffee. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that would just want to go on a coffee date, especially on a first date. But what I do when I'm actually dating someone, let's say we go on a weekend getaway trip together, what I will do actually is I have a mini coffee grinder and a mini coffee pot that I bring to the hotels that we stay at. And I make my own coffee. But additionally, if the person I'm with and I want more coffee, we will stop by at a Starbucks, at a Pete's, or in my area we have a great coffee company called Dutch Brothers, and Dutch Brothers I feel is like the best coffee. So I have no problem, grabbing coffee with someone. I just wouldn't want it to be the only thing we do on any given date, especially the first date. But yeah, I mean, as what I'm trying to say, in a relationship, you want to be open to doing, fun things that just don't serve you. You want to do things that serve both you and the person that you're with. And it seemed like this guy was pretty darn selfish. Then we started meeting each other's friends. He wanted us to brainstorm a better version of how we hooked up. So now this guy wants to spin his own narrative on how they met. So, I don't think she mentioned how they met, but let's say they met on Tinder for a hookup. He doesn't want to mention how they met. He wants to make it appear like it's greater than it actually is. So he's basically creating a false narrative that benefits him and basically shows the woman that he's very inconsiderate to her feelings, wants, and needs. This is not good. If I was this woman, I would be severely annoyed already. As a man, a good, strong, modern-day man, I'm already pretty annoyed on her behalf that this guy is doing this. This guy is just not the typical guy that you would want to date if you're a good woman looking for a good relationship, like this woman apparently is or has been. Then she furthermore says, "Can't we just tell people we met at a book festival?" I said. He tells her that. Sorry, he tells her that. Oh, no, I think she said that to him. Sorry, she said that to him. "Can't we just tell people we met at a book festival?" I said. That wasn't good enough. He thought it would be fun, even cute for us to concoct a fable about how we started dating. This story would be a complete lie, our little secret, a kind of inside joke. This guy sounds very insecure to me. It sounds like he's just trying to, spin his own narrative and create his own agenda. This is more so him trying to build up his social value at her expense and not really taking her thoughts or feelings into consideration. Not good. To me, it felt pointless. Well, I don't blame you, sweetheart. I don't blame you one bit. If I was a guy and a woman was doing to me what this guy's doing to you, I'd be pretty annoyed too. I would end the date. It would be date over. And I'd never talk to them again. That's just me. Our romance fizzled out when he invited me to an apple picking festival. Boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go to an apple picking festival. How fun is that? You know what's more fun? Going on a beautiful hike with your beautiful gal and telling her how beautiful she is and letting her see the beautiful scenery and packing a backpack with food and drinks and creating a picnic, where you can stop along the way on the hike. There are typically some great places to stop. Why couldn't you do that, dude? Instead, you wanted to take her to an apple picking festival. Yes, these things happen. You get together with a bunch of other millennials and spend the day yoinking apples from tree branches. Woo, sounds like fun. She sounds very interested and entertained, dude. Again, I'm annoyed for this woman. I feel bad for her that she had to go on a date with this guy. They say, don't give millennials a bad name or, don't, kick down millennials. But come on, look at this. Look at this behavior. Look at this dude. Dancing may or may not have been involved. Instead, I chose to stay home and work on my dissertation. He teased me for being a buzzkill. Well, he can tease you all he wants. But deep down inside, man, that this is never going to work out. That this guy is a very selfish and inconsiderate and inexperienced man, and he's just using you as arm candy to make himself look good in front of his Instagram followers, social media presence. Maybe he's running a business, and he's just trying to build his value at your expense. He teased me for being a buzzkill. Jeez. We didn't break up per se. Just went on fewer and fewer outings until finally gliding into each other's friend zones. What you're saying, in essence, ma'am, is you hooked up a few more times for some great sex. And then when that got boring, because that's all that was there in the first place between the two of you, because it was all physical attraction, right? That got you probably together in the first place. Then you said, hey, enough is enough. And we just naturally ghosted each other. We ghosted each other and put each other into the friend zone. Okay, it's probably the best thing that could have happened. Obviously, we don't have to enjoy everything our partners do. I agree with you, but if you don't have a lot more in common than not, it's just not going to work out. In my experiences, I will only date women that are on the same page as myself and looking for the same thing mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and love doing at least some of the things I enjoy doing. One thing a woman has to love, or it just won't work out, is the outdoors, especially hiking. If they don't love hiking, it's just not going to work, even if everything else is perfect. Even if physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, we're all there. If they don't like hiking and the outdoors, that's a deal breaker for me, and I'm very upfront about it. But see, for me, when I go and I look to find a woman to date, I go to a site like Match.com or OkCupid where I can put on a profile and state exactly what I'm looking for and not what I'm looking for, so that way the woman knows the type of person she's going to be getting to know. She's going to know not only what I like and don't like, but she's going to see my pictures and see if there's physical attraction as well, right? But when you go on sites like Tinder, I'm assuming these people met on Tinder, all you get swipe left, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right. It's all about physical attraction, and that's not the only element important into sustaining a relationship. But pop culture oversells the idea of opposites attract. Sure, odd pairings make for great plot lines. Well, this makes a great story, man, but that's all. Maybe a little bit of great sex in between, but it makes for a great story and nothing more. Yeah, I get it. You're right. You get it. You're spot on. I got to say, you're spot on. We love when two characters fall in love and we don't expect them to, or when they shouldn't. Sure, love is beautiful. When you see two people that are just hanging out as friends, a man and a woman, and then next thing you know, they start making out, and then they start dating, and they fall in love. It's a beautiful fairy tale story, kind of like what you used to see in the movies back in the days. But that doesn't work anymore in the modern world because, like I said, women are now liberated, and women don't need a man for pretty much anything. And even if they want to have a kid, they can go down to the sperm bank and get artificially inseminated. So if you're a guy and you want to make it work with a woman nowadays, you got to really bring your A game. You got to bring your best self, and you also have to take their thoughts and feelings into consideration about everything. But many guys don't get that, especially the millennials and post-millennials. They just don't get that. And that's why I'm here. I can help you folks understand that. Reach out to me, go below in the description, and send me an email, coacheli at coacheli@melas.com if you want my help. I'd be happy to help you figure it out. Even in real life, oops, I skipped down too far. Even in real life, it is exciting to date someone we share nothing in common with. I think she meant to say who we share nothing in common with. That's okay. It can be fun for a few dates or a month or two, but it's not going to be something sustainable long term. Again, how are you meeting these people? How are you meeting these guys? Is it Tinder, where all you see is a picture, swipe left, swipe right? Or are you actually going to a reputable, dating site like Match.com, where you can read a profile and see, who this person is beyond their looks, right? My friends and I spent most of our 20s doing that. It was either foolish or revelatory or maybe a mix. Well, you were having fun and exploring. You're probably a cute, sexy, hot woman, and you love attention like every woman does. No disrespect. Who doesn't like attention? Even guys like attention, but we just don't come out and say it because it's not the most masculine thing to do. But I get it. You were having fun figuring it out, right? Now you figured it out. I believe you're probably in your 30s. And now you want to settle down and date someone, maybe get married, start a family, and live happily ever after, right? I get it. The opposites match up game never lasts for long. Exactly, for the reasons I've been mentioning. Exactly. The opposites matchup game never lasts for long because you get along better with people that you can relate to and share common interests with. Not in my experience. Eventually, we want things to go back to normal. We start to miss our habits and routines. I love going hiking. I'll go hiking with or without a girlfriend. Now, I never go hiking alone because you never know what's going to happen out in the wilderness. But I can go hiking with friends. I can take a walk at the park or in my neighborhood by myself, right? So I like doing these things as part of my habits and routines. And if I start dating someone and they don't like doing that and it takes me away from what I love to do, it's not going to work. So you're right, man. We start to miss our habits and routines. We become familiar with the other person's world and realize we don't fit there. Let me repeat that again. We become familiar with the other person's world and realize we don't fit there. We linger a little if the sex is good enough. Oh, let me repeat that again. Bingo! We linger a little if the sex is good enough. I could end this video right here, right now, and be satisfied that I got my point across. But we're not going to do it. I love and respect how honest this woman is. Ma'am, I've got a lot of respect for you. You're owning this, and this is making my night. This is making my day. Of course, no sex can be so good it convinces us to spend the rest of our lives as a different person. We'll break up or divorce. One more time. Of course, no sex can be so good it convinces us to spend the rest of our lives as a different person. We'll break up or divorce. You know why it can't be so good to convince us to spend the rest of our lives as a different person? Because you want to emotionally bond with somebody, man. The intimacy in sex is not real and doesn't feel genuine unless it is more emotional than physical. Granted, yes, it is a physical act, but if you don't feel the emotion for the other person, it's just not going to be something that's going to be sustainable long term. As a man, I feel the same way. That's why I'm not a one-night stand kind of guy. I'm only intimate with women in a relationship, and there has to be an emotional bond, or it just isn't going to work. The best relationships I've had lasted longer because we complemented each other. We fit together. I got to repeat that again. That's beautiful. The best relationships I've had lasted longer because we complemented each other. We fit together. You enjoy the same things, plain and simple. If you enjoy the same things, you're completely physically attracted to each other. You can both carry on a great mentally stimulating conversation. You emotionally connect at a very deep level. That's it. That's a recipe for lifelong success. That's all it takes. You got it. You get it. This is beautiful. So How do you tell the difference? Here are some tips. I'm not going to read those, folks. I've got the blog link shared below towards the top of the description if you want to check out some tips that the blog author wrote. How do you tell the difference? I'll read one. Your complement likes basketball while you prefer football. Your opposite wants you to attend their poetry reading or vice versa. There's one example. You can check out the link below in the description towards the top if you want to read the rest of the examples there. In a healthy relationship, our interests and personalities overlap in the middle and our differences bring balance. That's true. I couldn't have said that any better myself. Maybe he mellows you out. Men and women balance each other out. Actually, women mellow me out and I uplift them. I'm more attracted to women that are like 50% extroverted and 50% introverted. I like a great balance there. I don't want a woman that's 100% introverted, but not one that's 100% extroverted, because then she'll be like me, want to be like completely dominant all the time, and it just won't be the right balance. So you have to figure out what the right balance is that works for you, but that's what works for me. So again, in a healthy relationship, our interests and personalities overlap in the middle and our differences bring balance. Again, men and women balance each other out. Men and women, still have a great purpose in the modern world to cohabitate, procreate, and live a happy life together and have a family life. I mean, there's nothing better than that. That's the purpose of life, in my opinion. Maybe he mellows you out and you make him more organized. Oh yeah, women are typically more organized than men. Now, I'm a pretty organized guy, and that's one thing that impresses women, that I'm good at doing a lot of the same things that they're good at doing. But for most men, they're not good at those things, so women will balance them out in that aspect. Okay? From him, you learn how to enjoy a vacation, right? What I'll do is say, hey, babe, how would you like to go away on a romantic weekend getaway trip? I'll get us a nice room with a beautiful view of the ocean. We'll have a romantic candlelight dinner. We'll take a walk along the beach. We'll have a picnic on the beach the next morning. We will go on a beautiful hike. Blah, 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 right? That's all it takes. Pretty simple. From you, he learns how to run a side hustle. From you, he learns how to run a side hustle. I don't know about that. That's typically more masculine energy to run a side hustle. So, ma'am, I could challenge you on that, but I know you're a modern woman and we're all equal nowadays, so I get it. I think a man or a woman could teach the other person a side hustle, but typically a side hustle is a business venture. Like if you're working a day job and then you're doing a side hustle, meaning like you're running a YouTube channel or you're running, an affiliate website selling Amazon affiliate products. That's a side hustle. But yeah, we'll go with it, man. That's cool. That's cool. Nobody completes us, like they say in the romance world. It used to be that way. I've said this before. I'll say it again. In the movie Jerry Maguire, the famous line was, "You complete me." Or he said, "You complete me. You had me at hello," is what she said in return. In the modern world, okay, you don't complete each other. You both come into the relationship as individuals, as two complete individuals, and you share each other's completeness together. One more time. In the modern world, you don't complete each other. You come into the relationship as two complete individuals, man and woman, and you share each other's completeness together. I love how this was written. Perfect. Soulmates don't exist. Well, I would disagree with you. I do believe that soulmates do exist. They're just a lot more difficult to find in the modern world, but that's just my opinion and that's yours, and we're both entitled to it. Fantastic. This dangerous idea sets up false expectations. Dating your opposite is, well, the opposite of that and just as bad. I would not suggest dating an opposite. It's just not going to work. You're probably going to have very little, if anything, in common. It's just not going to work. But it's up to you. Try it out and see how it works for you. But I'll tell you, in most cases, it will not work out. It'll probably be physically based. You'll have some great sex for a month or two, and then you'll end up fizzling away. and friend zoning each other, and who knows, maybe hooking up every so often until you each find who you want to find. I just don't think it's a good thing to date your opposite. A good relationship does change us, though. Dating a complement makes us more aware of our own teeth and notches. That's a good point, because when two people are together that care about each other genuinely and they love each other genuinely in every aspect, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, you both want to grow together and uplift each other and support each other. It becomes natural. We become happier in the lowercase sense and better people in general. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have nothing more to add to that because I couldn't have said it any better myself, ma'am. Staying single is also fine. It is. But if you're like myself and other women I've dated, they're okay being single, but they would prefer to share their life with someone because life is just so much more amazing when you have someone to share it with. That's my opinion. You may think differently, but that's my opinion. I honestly feel that life was meant to share it with someone special. That's just me. But if you feel the other way, that's fine. That's fine too. In fact, it beats welding ourselves to someone because we're convinced they're our soulmate. Well, if you don't naturally feel they're your soulmate and you have to be convinced that they're your soulmate, then that answers the question right there. You'll know in your head and in your heart if someone is your soulmate, which is what I'm trying to say. And you'll act accordingly. And so will the other person. If it's meant to be. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not meant to be, it'll fizzle out and end at some point. Let's see. Or the spice in our life that we never knew we needed. Right. Sometimes you just meet someone and they change your life in the most awesome ways possible. And when I say change, I don't mean completely change what you already have. They add on to your life and you add on to theirs. And you make each other's lives even more interesting and better than they already were when two people like that come together. We can date our opposites all day long and never find a decent partner. Instead, we should pursue our complement. They might come from a different planet as long as we both orbit the same sun. Okay. Yes, that just makes perfect sense. I'm going to wrap up this video by saying this. Let me switch back over to full screen. You can date whoever you want, folks. You can do whatever you want to do. If you're looking for a quick hookup or something like that, something temporary, which I don't suggest and is not who I am, then it doesn't matter. You're just going to look to find the hottest man, the hottest woman, and you do your thing and that's that. But if you're looking for companionship, a soulmate, a life partner, okay, opposites don't attract. It's never worked for me. I've tried going on dates with people that were completely opposite of me, and it's never, ever once worked out. My suggestion is take the time to get to know someone. Don't use dating apps like Tinder and other apps that just show a picture of someone and their name and they have nothing written about what they're looking for. I mean, if you're using those type of apps, then you're basically just asking for a disaster, especially if you're looking for something genuine. If you want to hook up temporarily, just for fun, use Tinder. And who knows, maybe, as a guy or a gal, you might hook up with somebody of the opposite sex. And initially, all you wanted to do was have sex. But next thing you know, you get along so well that it leads to more. That's a possibility. But more than likely, if you're using that kind of an app, you're gonna get people that just want that one thing. It's never gonna lead to more. If you want more, go on to Match.com, OkCupid, maybe even eHarmony, or some of those sites that have more detail about who the person is and what they're looking for, and you can share the same with them. So With that being said, folks, I want to thank you all for taking time to view this video. Another video is coming to this channel soon, so stay tuned. And that is that. Enjoy your day, enjoy your night whenever you come across this. And I will see you all next time. Take care. Bye. Bye.